Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah ala ni'mat al-Islami wa kafa biha ni'ma. All praise and gratitude be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on His blessing of Islam, which suffices as a blessing. So I'd like to welcome you on the last session. We are at the 30th para. We did half of it and inshallah we'll complete today. So alhamdulillah, we managed to complete we'll complete the whole Quran, and may Allah accept this effort. We'll start with Surah Fajr, and Surah Fajr begins with some oaths being taken. And here, normally in a surah there's one oath. Here there are going to be 5 oaths that are being taken. So, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Wal Fajr. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful, by the daybreak. So Quran reminding us of the early morning time, its beauty and its feeling. Walayalil Ashr, and by the 10 nights. As commentators are of the view that these reference of 10 nights are the 10 nights of Zil Hajj. Washafi wal Watr, and by the even and the odd. And again, commentators are of the view that these are the 2 nights of the 11th and 12th of Zil Hajj, where one has to stay in Mina, which is necessary. Walayli is a Yasr, and by the night when it moves away. So maybe referring to the night that people spend in Muzdalfa and then they move away. Is there an oath in this for the one who possesses understanding? So if we keep Hajj in view, think about who started Hajj, who made this place of Makkah as a place of oneness of Allah. And again referring to or pointing to the mushriks of Makkah, that look what you have done with this house. You have made it as a house of shirk. And for those people who want Tawheed, they are now being treated like criminals in this house. Have you not seen how your Rabb dealt with Ad, Iram, the possessor of lofty pillars? So who are Iram? People of Ad lived in an area which is present-day Yemen, and this was well before Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, maybe around 3,500, 4,000 BC. Like of whom were never created in the lands, and Samud, who hewed out rocks in the valley. So the descendants of Ad were a new nation, Samud. They were also very powerful, they were also very rich, and they were known for the great architecture. And Pharaoh, the possessor of stakes, and those who rebelled in the cities and spread a lot of mischief therein. So despite many names that Allah had given to these people, these Ad and the Samud and the earlier nation, so instead of promoting peace and well-being and equity and justice, they spend all the namat in creating fasad on the face of this earth. So your Rabb let loose on them the whip of torment. Surely your Rabb is ever watching. So in a flash, everything was over. The azab was Allah descended on them. As for man, when his Rabb tests him and gives him honor and bounties, he says, my Rabb has honored me. So when Allah gives ni'mats to people, they think that it is their right. They take them for granted. Never think of actually saying Alhamdulillah or thanking their Rabb, that how my Rabb is delighting me. But when he tests him and restricts his subsistence for him, he says, my Rabb has disgraced him. So when Allah withdraws his ni'mat from people, people get upset. They blame Allah, they go into depression, that my Rabb is dishonoring me. Now it's interesting that the person is saying, it's my Rabb. My Rabb gave me, my Rabb deprived me. But what point over here is that this is neither an honor nor a dishonor. But it's just a trial. If we focus on our hereafter, what we are going through this world, whether we have plenty or whether we have nothing, this is just a trial. In both these situations, this is just a trial. Sometimes Allah gives trial to people by giving them, and sometimes takes a trial from them by taking away from them. No, but you do not honor the orphans. So the word that used over here, kalla, by no means, which is negation of all ideas that it's social justice that Allah desires. Allah wants us to be just people. Nor do you urge one another to feed the needy. And this happens when there is so much intense love of wealth that people actually just don't, even encourage other people to feed the needy. Islam wants that we not only look after the orphans, but we are kind to them. We do ikram on them. We respect them. We do not injure their self-respect. And that this shouldn't be a criteria of honor in a society, that izzat is not according to what people have or what they do not have. And you eat away inheritance, devouring entirely, and love of wealth, and excessive love. So you can see that, how even today, in our entire inheritance is being taken up by few people. In the olden times, it used to be the eldest son, and he would take away the entire inheritance, depriving the brothers and sisters and wife and parents of their due rights. No, when the earth will be crushed thoroughly to be turned into bits, and your Rabb will come, and angels as well, lined up in rows, and hell on that day will be brought forward, and it will be a day when man will realize. But from where will he take advantage of such realization? He will say, oh, would that I had sent ahead for my life. So he would wish that he had restrained his nafs and he had done good deeds and have some khair for himself, which would be useful on this day. So on that day, no one can punish him like he will punish, nor can anyone shackle like he will shackle. So in life, people broke the limits set by Allah. They feared the world, not the creator of the world, and today they will see the dire consequences. Ya ayyatuhan nafsu mutmainna, O content soul, irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiya, and return to your Rabb well pleased, content in his good pleasure. So this is a reference to the peaceful soul. These were people who were deeply distressed if they sinned, if they ever sinned, and intentionally or unintentionally. They had a clear conscience. After sinning, they would ask Allah for forgiveness. How peaceful it is if you fulfill the pact with Allah. If you fulfill the pacts with Allah, Allah will also fulfill His pact. Fadkhuli fi ibadi, so enter my servants. Wadkhuli jannati, and enter my paradise. Next surah, Surah Balad. Balad literally means a city. La uqsimu bihazal balad. No, I swear by this city. La is a kind of a refutation of any preconceived ideas or any preconceived notions. And you are lawful in this city. So even in pre-Islamic time, Makkah was considered to be a sacred city, and our Prophet ﷺ, with his advent, with his arrival in Makkah, clearly the importance of the city had increased further. Also, it is a city where no one can be harmed, no blood can be shed, and not even animal or plants can be removed. And by the Father and all those he begot. So every father and his progeny is being referred over here. Indeed, we have created man in hard struggle. Does he think that no one has power over him? So if man has no fear of accountability, the direction of these qabads, these strivings, will not be right. And Quran questions over here. What do you think? Are you the master and no one is really watching you? He says, I squandered a lot of wealth. Now, typically, when you look at the Arab society and Arab cultures, Arabs would love to spend. They were generous people. They were magnanimous people. There's no doubt about that. Even till today, they are. But this trait was very highly valued, as far as the social context is concerned. But the reason for their spending was not because they were spending in the way of Allah, but it was for self-projection. It was for show-off. And as a result, this was causing ostentatiousness within the society. The waste had increased. As we see even today, they really are very wasteful. And this became part of their culture. And you would see historically that they would drink heavily, they would gamble heavily. They even had paid mourners. When someone would die, they would have these people who would come and mourn on their behalf. So Quran is really questioning this. Is this a wise thing that you are using your wealth to earn all this trouble and create so much fasad in the society? Does he think no one saw him? Did we not make for him 2 eyes? So don't people observe what is the impact of these wrong deeds on the society and on themselves? And I think that's what Quran is pointing out over here, because ostentatiousness really sets up a trend, which is then mimicked by those people who cannot afford. And a tongue and 2 lips. So use the speech that is Allah has given, the tongue and 2 lips, to spread goodness, not for slander, not for vain talk. And showed him 2 ways. And what are these 2 ways? The way of goodness and the way of evil. Yet he did not make his way through the steep course. And what will convey to you what the steep course is? So what is the steep course, the narrow path that Quran is referring? This narrow path is just spending for self-projection, but not for the betterment of the society, not for the sake of Allah. And this is a challenging path. It is freeing of so Quran asks this, what is the steep course? What is this narrow path? It is freeing of a neck Freeing of a neck means that it includes slavery, it also includes somebody who is tied up in debt to pay off his debt, or giving food in a day of hunger to the orphans near of kin, or to the needy person lying in dust. So Quran repeatedly instructs, this is a repeated instruction, feed the poor. Make it a habit every time you must feed poor people. Then he is of those who believe in enjoying each other patience and enjoying each other compassion. So a true, complete, comprehensive personality of a moment being described over here. Patient. Patient in what? Patient in the itaat of Allah, in the obedience of Allah. Encourages others also to be obedient to Allah. Then having a soft heart. They know that they are dependent on the mercy of Allah, and as a result they themselves are merciful. Because if you want mercy, you have to be merciful first yourself. Those are the people of the right hand. As for those who reject our verses, they are the people of left hand. So this Quran is referring to those people who do not look after the poor people in the society. This too is like a denial of Islam, because we cannot be indifferent to the difficulties of other people. When we see other people in difficulty, it is incumbent upon us to come and help them. Upon them is fire closed over. So it's like, talking about when the doors is closed, the intensity of heat increases. Next surah, Surah Shams, which means the sun. So Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, wa shamsi wa duhaha, by the sun and its brightness, wal qamar iza talaha, and by the moon as it follows it, and by the day as it reveals its splendor, and by the night when it covers it, and by the sky and the one who built it, and by the earth and the one who spread it. Wa nafsim wa ma sawaha, and by the soul and the one who perfected, then inspired it with evil and piety. Now it's interesting, Quran says that this soul is inspired with evil and piety. Both these qualities are there. Now this contrast is very important, that they are not without, and they are not really without any reason. Because if sin and evil is not attractive, then there is no test in it. There is no test of willpower at all. If evil is unattractive, why would people actually go after it? So there is, in sin and evil, there is an attraction over there. This attraction towards sin is a kind of a test. Does man stop himself due to the fear of Allah? قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا. Indeed, success is really attained by him who purifies it. So someone who cannot control his transgression and his inclination towards towards being rebellious is clearly unsuccessful. وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. And he will indeed fail who corrupts it. And this is a test. The ruh is buried inside the body, which is made from earth, which is made from clay. The body came from the earth and the ruh came from Allah. The spiritual light which came from Allah is buried under the physical desires. And as a result of being buried, there is no light left, there is no conscious left. The more dead the spirit of a man, the more dead his conscience. And without conscience, man is worse than animal. He's more ruthless, he's more merciless. And the people of Samud denied the truth because of their transgression, when the most wretched of them rose up. So the messenger of Allah said to them, be careful of Allah's she-camel and her right to drink. But they rejected him and killed her, so their Rabb sent irradiating torment upon them because of their sin and leveled them. And he has no fear of its consequences. The next surah, Surah Al-Layl, which means the night. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَخْشَى, by the night when it covers. وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا تَجَلَّى, and by the day when it appears in glory. And by the one who created male and the female. So day and night, male and female, these are all creation. They are all makhluk of Allah. Just because the night is dark doesn't mean that it is ghatiya and that the day is bright and it is ala. Each night has its maqam and day has its maqam. They are both there to complete the cycle. The same is for male and female. They are not the same, but they complement each other. Verily your striving is diverse. So depending upon your talent given, the responsibilities, your placement in the society, accordingly your efforts will differ. Then as for the one who gives and fears, so the qualities of those people who are dear to Allah, they spend their wealth which they have earned with a lot of effort, and they are not tight-fisted, and verify the best. So soon we will facilitate him the state of ease. So one who does so much neki, keeps his nafs in check, then the neki will become his habit, and Allah will make him achieve high places in paradise. As for him who is miser and deems himself self-sufficient and rejects the best, so soon we will facilitate him for difficulty. All that is collected and accumulated is for what? If it is not used to come close to Allah, it's just a waste. And his wealth will not help him when he will fall down. Verily, it is undertaken by us to guide. So actual thing is guidance. Ask Allah for guidance. Then everything will become a ni'mat and everything will become a blessing. And most surely to us belongs the hereafter and the former. So I have warned you of a blazing fire. None will enter it but the most wretched, who rejected and turned away, and soon removed from it will be the most righteous. So in this ayat actually and the following ayat are said to be referring to Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. It is said that after Prophet Sallallahu, he was the best human being, who gives his wealth purifying himself, while no one has conferred any favor on him for which he would give a return. So he was not returning a favor, no ihsan on anyone. He did it only for the pleasure of Allah, except to seek the pleasure of his Rabb, the Most High, and he will soon be well pleased. Surah Duha, which means early morning, and again this ayat is a special address to our Prophet Sallallahu. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, wa duha, by the morning, wal layli iza saja, and by the night when it is still. Your Rabb has neither forsaken you nor become displeased. So it's a kind of a consolation to our Prophet ﷺ, that your Rabb is with you, he is neither abandoned you nor he is indifferent to you. And verily the later portion is better for you than the present. And soon your Rabb will give you so that you will be well pleased. Did he not find you an orphan and gave you shelter? So our Prophet ﷺ, his father died when he was not even born. When he was 6 years old, his mother died. 8 years old, his grandfather died, and then his uncle Abu Talib raised him up and protected him for well over 40 years. And he found you wandering, then he guided. So our Prophet ﷺ was searching for truth, and Allah guided him. And he found you in need, then he made you free from want. Therefore, as for the orphan, do not oppress him. Be good to the poorest of the society. These are the people who are in need. Our ibadat is so that we get a relationship with Allah, that our taluk with Allah increases. But beyond it, it is to be a humanitarian. It is to help humanity. It is to help people. That is so important. And as for the one who asks, do not repulse him. Now, even if somebody comes and asks you for something, if you cannot give for any reason, at least be kind, at least be polite, at least say a prayer for him that may Allah help him, may Allah make him ghani like he has made me a ghani. As for the bounties of your Rabb, do proclaim. So use all these ni'mats of Allah in a manner that makes Allah happy. So next surah is Surah Nashra, well is Alam Nashra. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alam Nashra laka sadrak. Have we not expanded for you your chest, and we removed from you your burden that almost broke your back? So our Prophet ﷺ would see the condition of people and how corrupt and morally deprived people were, and that was a great burden on him. Now so Allah is lightening his burden by providing him with a way. And we raised high your esteem. So no doubt about that. No name is more popular or more common than the name of our Prophet ﷺ. Historically, always been the name Muhammad and Ahmad, the most popular name in the world. So undoubtedly, along with hardship, there is ease. Verily, along with hardship, there is ease. Difficulties and ease are part of life. One overcomes one difficulty and ease follows, followed by a new challenge. New frontiers have to be explored. So life is all about constantly striving. The challenges are there. Like they say, a moment never really retires. So when you are free from toil and towards your Rabb, return with eagerness. So fulfill your responsibilities, give hukuk to people, then be attentive, turn towards your Rabb. Next surah, Surah Teen, which means the fig. Wateen was zaytun, by the fig and the olive. Now in Arabs societies, it was a tradition that if a particular fruit was in abundance in a certain place, the place was called by the name of that fruit. So fig was grown in the area where Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam lived and his people lived, and olive was a fruit that was grown where Hazrat Isa and his followers used to live. And Mount Sinai being referred over here where Hazrat Musa alayhi salam was given the 10 commandments. And by this peaceful city, Balad al-Amin, as Quran uses the word, the city of Makkah. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Surely we have created man in the best of stature. So by nature, man is good. Man is the best of the creation as long as he is connected with the Creator. And we see people reaching to the height of righteousness. When they come close to Islam, when they come close to Quran, they come close to Allah, they become really pious and excellent people. But when he leaves the guidance that has been provided to him, what becomes of him? And that is the next ayat. Then we turned him into the lowest of the low. So when man makes his nafs, his desire as his God, he becomes worse than animal. And historically we have seen how inhuman, how zalim people are. No creature can really create the kind of facade that a misguided human being can create. And who are the people who are saved? And the next ayat actually tells us that, except those who believed and did righteous deeds, so for them there is a reward never ending. So they are rewarded in this world and they are rewarded in the hereafter. Then who can deny you about judgment? Is Allah not the wisest of judges? So Allah, over here as Al-Hakim, Allah takes hisab, Allah also takes accountability. Surah Alaq, we'll look at Surah Alaq now. The first 5 ayah were the first revelation on our Prophet ﷺ, and these ayahs were brought by Hazrat Jibreel alayhi salam, written on silk, and as a result the command is to read. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Iqra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. Read in the name of your Rabb who created. So the very first instruction that has been given to people is to read. It shows the importance of ilm. The very first wahi that came in, the very first word is read, iqra. And how much do we read? I think we need to actually take account of that, how much reading we are doing. He created man from a clot. Read as your Rabb is the most gracious. Allazi allama bil qalm, who taught by the pen. He taught man what he did not know. So the fazilat of ilm, you can see these 5 ayahs that's been given over here, that how important right knowledge is. Without right knowledge, it's hard. It's nearly impossible to reach to paradise. Quran also has many nice du'as. Rabbi zidni ilma, oh Allah, increase my knowledge. Because knowledge elevates man above the angels. Equally, knowledge can also make man sink below the worst of the worst level, worse than even animals. And when does that happen? That happens as long as knowledge and ilm is connected with the name of Allah, it will be a rahmat, it will be beneficial. Conversely, if the same ilm can become a tool of exploitation, manipulation and aggression. So if ilm is disconnected from Allah, it makes man a monster. Nay, certainly man is rebels. Results of godless education will make people cross all limits because he deems himself to be free of need. The only thing which stops man from zulm and transgression is the iman and ilm of hereafter. Surely to your Rabb is the return. Have you seen him who forbids a slave when he prays? Now it's very interesting that sometimes people don't pray themselves, but they don't even want to see someone pray. People don't want to see someone praying and remembering Allah. Have you seen if he is on guidance or enjoins righteousness? Have you seen if he denies and turns away? Does he not know that Allah watches? No. If he did not desist, we would drag him by his forelock. So people, if they do not change, Allah will take severe accountability. A lying, sinful forelock. So let him summon his counsel. Soon we will call the soldier of hell. No, never obey him and prostrate and draw near. This is Ayat Sajda also. So do not be subdued by such people. Only bow down to your Creator. Now the next surah, Surah Qadr, from the word Taqdeer, also there. Destiny means also power. that's another meaning for that, the night of power. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadr. Surely we have sent down the Quran in the night of power. So this is the night of Ramadan, as they say, our Prophet ﷺ, through many authentic hadiths, maybe on the 21st of Ramadan or on the odd nights. And what will make you comprehend what is the night of power? The night of power is much better than 1,000 months. The angels and spirit descend in it with the permission of their Rabb, along with every command, peace until the break of dawn. The next surah is Surah Bayyana, which is a Madni surah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Lam yakun allazina kafaru min ahlil kitabi wal mushrikina munfakina hatta ta'tiyahumul bayyana. Those who disbelieved from among the people of the book and the polytheists could not have separated until there came to them a clear evidence. So before this revelation, before the Wahi, people were mixed. That's what Quran is telling us. And who had how much khair, this was unknown. It's like a seed. As long as the seed is in a packet or in our hand, we don't know what is the quality of the fruit. It's only when you put a seed in the soil and then after the rain, the seed sprouts and becomes a tree, and then it bears fruit, that we learn the quality of that seed. How sweet the fruits are, that really determines the quality of that seed. So after the revelations, it was determined as to who has khair and the sweetness of Iman. So Quran is a bayyana. With the revelation of Quran as a criterion, the standard benchmark is there. And it makes known to us what is khair and what is shar. A messenger from Allah who recites the pure pages wherein are written law right and straight. And those who were given book did not become divided, but after clear proof had come to them. So zikr of those people who were given the book, like the Yahudi, the Bani Israel, they claim that they loved Allah, so Allah put them into a test. Now those who truly believed brought Iman on Hazrat Isa alayhi salam and Injil. So every Rasul is a bayyana, he is a criterion of his time, whether people accept him or do not accept him. While they were not enjoined except to worship Allah, making their submission exclusively for him, upright, and to establish salah and pay zakah, that is the way of the straight religion. So when sincerity and khulus is with Allah, as long as it is there, it's fine. But when this reduces, then people begin to worship personalities, and then they create cults within their religion. Surely those who disbelieve from among the people of the book and the polytheists will be in the fire of hell, abiding in it. Those are the worst of creatures. And as for those who believed and did righteous deeds, they are the best of the creatures. Their reward with their Rabb in gardens of eternity, beneath which rivers flow, in which they will abide forever. Allah is well pleased with them, and they are well pleased with him, and that is the reward for him who has awe of his Rabb. We are doing Surah Zilzal. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Iza zulzilatil ardu zilzalaha. When the earth is shaking with its violent shaking, and the earth will bring forth its burden, and man will say, what has happened to it? That day it will describe all its happening, because your Rabb has inspired her. That day people will come back in different groups, so that they may be shown their deeds. And whoever does any good act, even to the weight of a particle, will see it. And whoever does evil, even to the weight of a particle, will see it. Zarra, the word that is being used over here, that's the smallest division. So what this ayat is really telling us is no sin is small and no good deed is insignificant. Everything will be accounted for. Next surah, Surah Adiyat. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal Adiyatu Zabhan. By the snorting runners which strike sparks with hoofs, then those that invade at morning, then with it raise dust. So it's a clear picture being drawn over here of galloping horses and dust raising after them. Then penetrate in the midst of assembly. So look at the Quran is what Quran is referring. Look at the obedience of a horse. This horse enters the midst of enemy line despite great danger. How obedient they are to their master. Without questioning, they risk their life. Most surely man is indeed very ungrateful of his Rabb. And look what you give to a horse, and look what your Rabb gives to you. How ungrateful man is to his master. Compare yourself with the horse. Most surely he himself is a witness to that. And most surely he is tenacious in the love of wealth. Does he not know when all that is contained in the graves will be overturned, and all that is contained in the hearts will be exposed, and most surely their Rabb that day will be fully aware of them. Next surah, Surah Qariya. Qara means to knock. It's one of the names of Qiyamah. Al-Qariya, the striking event. Mal Qariya, what is the striking event? And what may let you know what the striking event is? The day when people will be like scattered moths, and mountains will be like carded wool. Then as for him whose scale of good deeds is heavy, he shall be in life of good pleasure. So all deeds will be weighed on that day. The weight of deeds will be due to what? Due to sincerity, due to khulus, due to the right intention, due to the way that these deeds have been done in the way of the Prophet. As for him whose scale is light, his abode will be abyss. And what may make you know what it is? A blazing fire. The next surah, Surah Takasur, which means to compete, to vie with each other for abundance. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Al-Hakumut Takasur. You are distracted by mutual competition in amassing until you reach the graves. So this urge that is there in people to have more, if it is left unchecked, it can really be devastating. There's a hadith in Bukhari where our Prophet ﷺ said, if the son of Adam, if he had a valley full of gold, he will wish that he had two such valleys, and nothing but the dust of grave can fill him. So people will compete with each other. Even in graves, people compete with each other and want, to outdo each other in having a better grave. That's the level of mutual competition that's there. No, soon you shall know. Again, soon you shall know. So Quran says the reality will be soon known to you. No, if only you know with a sure knowledge, you will certainly see hell. Then you shall most definitely see it with eyes of certainty. Then on that day you shall most certainly be questioned about the blessings. Surah Asr. Asr literally means time, which is passing so swiftly, so quietly. Time is passing, and it is passing, and we are rushing towards our graves. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal Asr. By time, most surely man is in a state of loss. So people who do not value time, they are in the state of a great loss, except those who believed and did righteous deeds and exhorted one another for following truth and exhorted each other for observing patience. So this is the minimum standard, the minimum requirement for saving oneself of loss, and this is just the passing mark. Next surah, Surah Humaza, which means backbiting or slander, passing sarcastic comments. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wailul kulli humazatil lumaza. Woe to every backbiter, slanderer, who accumulates wealth and counts it. He thinks that his wealth has made him eternal. He thinks that his wealth will make him immortal. Never. He will certainly be thrown into the crushing fire. And what may let you know what the crushing fire is? Allah's fire kindled, which leaps over the hearts. It will be closed on them in outstretched columns. Surah Fil. Fil literally means the elephant, and referring to an event which happened before the advent of Islam, and that related to the invasion of Makkah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alam tara kaifa fa'ala rabbuka bi ashabil fil. Have you not seen how your Rabb dealt with the people of elephant? Now, which means that entire population of Arabia at that time, they were very familiar with this particular incident. Did he not cause their treacherous plans to go astray? And he sent down upon them birds in flocks, throwing upon them stones of baked clay, and thus he turned them into eaten up chaff. Quraysh, Surah Quraysh, the name of a tribe, the descendants of Ismail alayhi salam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Le ilafi Quraysh. Because of the familiarity of Quraysh, so Quraysh were the custodian, they were very familiar people, people knew them, they were custodian of Kaaba, and they commanded influence over the other tribes. That is their familiarity with the trips of winter and summer, so they must worship the Rabb of this house. Kaaba throughout the ages has been an object of respect and reverence, who gave them food against hunger and gave them security against fear. So the great fazl of Allah that Makkah remained peaceful and a place of worship at all times, and as a result that there was no hunger over there and they had no fear of security. Surah Ma'un, which means neighborly needs. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Araita alladhi yukazzibu bid-deen. Have you seen him who denies the religion? So he is one who pushed away the orphan and does not persuade others to feed the needy. So woe to the performer of salah who neglect their salah, which means that the salah, the ritual was there, but the spirit was missing. Who do good only to show off and withhold common necessities. Surah Kawthar, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna atwainaka al-Kawthar. Surely we gave you al-Kawthar. So offer salah to your Rabb and sacrifice. Surely your enemy will be without posterity. Surah Kafirun, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun. Say, O disbelievers. Now earlier we see that Islam or Quran has a very inviting style. Earlier invitations have been given, preaching was done. But then those people who refuse to accept, then this is fine. And this is where Quran draws a line. And it calls them a disbeliever. O kafirun, you do what you want to do. I do not worship that which you worship, nor do you worship the one whom I worship. And neither I am going to worship that which you have worshipped, and nor will you worship the one whom I worship. For you is your faith, and for me is my faith. So, you're really seeing that this surah, the entire surah is kind of creating a distance in between the way of kufr and the way of Islam. Surah Nasr is a Madni surah, which means victory. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Iza ja nasrullahi wal fath, and when there comes Allah's help and victory. Fatah is not just victory, but victory in every sphere. It's not just a victory in war, but every sphere. And you will see people entering Allah's religion in multitudes. Then celebrate the purity and praise of your Rabb and seek His forgiveness. Surely He is ever relenting. So it is Allah who has given you this victory. And people, while they are victorious, they must feel, yes, I'm happy. The reason why I'm happy is that Allah chose me for this victory. It's not my effort, it's not my planning, it's not my execution. It's a victory given by Allah. Surah Lahab. Lahab is a name of a man, and perhaps the most unfortunate man of Makkah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Tabbat yada abi lahabim watab. Perish the two hands of Abu Lahab, and perish he. Neither his wealth benefited him, nor what he earned. He will soon enter a fire full of flames, and his wife carrier of firewood. Around her neck there is a rope of palm leaf fiber. Surah Ikhlas, which means sincerity. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwallahu ahad. Say, He, Allah, is one and only. So Allah, He is unique, He is alone, He is one and He is only, and there is nothing like Him. Allah is besought of all, needing none, which means everyone needs Allah, He needs no one. He neither begot anyone, nor was He begotten, which means He neither has a son, nor He has someone who actually who is a father. And there is none comparable to Him. So He is the Rabb, rest everyone is a ghulam, everyone else is a slave. Neither there is anyone who is His equivalent, nor is there anyone who is equal to Him in opposition or His opponent. Surah Falak, which Falak literally means to split. Qul a'udhu bi rabbil falak. I seek the refuge of my Rabb of dawn, of daybreaks, from the evil of everything He has created. So like Allah removes the darkness and brings the dawn, He can equally remove all and every kind of evil and harm and bring khair and barakat and benefit and betterment. from the evil of the dark night when it penetrates. Now, when darkness falls, all the shar intensified. You see all these clubs and nightclubs and everything, they all start at night. Maximum crime and maximum sinful deeds are done at night. And not even just in human beings, a lot of harmful insects and a lot of harmful creation, they actually only come out at night. So Quran says, and from the evil of dark night when it penetrates, and from the evil of those who blow on the knots. So these are there are two extreme opinions. There are two extreme opinions about magic. One is that magic is completely false. There's a complete denial of that. The other one is that every problem, every breakdown in relationship, every trouble is because someone has done jadoo, someone has done magic. Islam has a balanced view. It abolishes superstition, that they cannot, magic cannot harm anyone except with the permission of Allah. And when all gain and when all loss is in the hands of Allah, then one must do ruju towards Allah rather than turning here and there. And from the evil of the jealous one when he is jealous. So the last surah, which is the Surah An-Naas, which means people, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Qul a'udhu bi Rabbin Nas. Say, I seek refuge with the Rabb of mankind, the King of mankind, the God of mankind, from the evil of the whisper who withdraws, the one who whispers in the hearts of people. So waswasa, which is whispering, here is shaitan, the insinuator. He puts waswasa to tempt people, to put wrong ideas in the hearts of people. But all shaitan can do is really tempt people. He can just put the idea of sin inside the hearts of people, but it's people who can reject that idea or go ahead and do that. Whether from the jinn or mankind. So barakallahu lana wa lakum fil Quran al-Azim wa nafana wa iyyakum bil ayati wa zikr al-Hakim.